Today we're back at the famous Muscleworks gym with champion trainer Sav.
No, we shouldn't just do it. It should actually be made illegal.
In today's video, the focus is on exercises that the majority of people are doing wrong, resulting in injuries, and how these moves can be corrected to maximize muscle stimulation and staying injury-free.
And I don't feel my front delts, so I can do this all day. I swear to God, I did not feel nothing on my pecs. It's one of the worst exercises for two reasons. How comes when I go like this, I can't even lift it anymore. And the jerking motion creates a tendon to be involved more than the muscle. Hello, my name is Sav. Welcome to my Enfield Muscleworks gym. Today we're going to talk about exercises that maybe they shouldn't be done at all, or exercises that are done but they're not done the correct way. Okay, the first exercise that it really upsets me when I see people doing it wrong is the fact that it's so simple, especially for people that have actually competed in bodybuilding competitions and they've stood on stage and they did a back double bicep to show off their back muscles to the judges, and they still come in the gym and they do the exercise in such a wrong way that it's beyond belief. You know, doing lat pull downs to the front, wide grip, which is impossible to do, and contract the muscles of the back in a productive way. So let me show you, and I'll explain why people do it as well. Okay. I spend about 12 to 15 hours a day in the gyms, in my gyms, and I watch this going on all day long. Firstly, when the grip is wide grip, you can't contract the muscles of the back fully. You can contract maybe about 35 to 40%. But when you're doing it to the back of the neck, especially if somebody's stood on stage and paused and done that back double bicep that I was talking about, the movement is exactly the same as if you're doing the pose. So if you're doing it the correct way will be you're going to ask me then, why is all these people doing all this exercise wrong? If they're wrong, why they keep doing it? Well, part of the reason is because of ego. When you're doing it to the front, you can utilize your body weight and you can create more momentum to lift heavier weight. So yes, you're lifting heavier weight, but your back muscles are not lifting the weight. So which means they're not getting anything out of it, or not as much as they should be doing. But when you're doing it to the back of the neck, and you do it in a strict fashion, you can't use momentum to help you with the lifting of the weight. So your actual muscles are probably lifting more weight, even if the weight is less than if you was doing it to the front. The actual muscles that you're trying to stimulate are probably lifting more weight. Well, they are lifting more weight, even if the weight is even half the stack. The correct weight, if you want to do to the front, is you grip the back narrow, and when you pull it down, your arms are the side of your body. A little bit like a pullover movement. So doing it to the front this way is productive. The proof to everything I'm saying, this is not, I didn't invent this, I just analyzed it and put it out, and by using it and being honest with yourself, you'll know. The feeling that you're going on the muscle, on the back muscles, will be far greater when you're doing it the correct way. So I don't have to sort of prove anything to anybody. The proof can be found by you doing it and doing it correctly. Okay, the next exercise for back that people are doing wrong, and when I think about this exercise, all I think is Arnold doing it in the Pumping Iron movie, doing low pulley rows in the actual film. Look, Arnold won 5 Mr. Olympias or whatever he won. You know, it doesn't mean anything really. If you're doing something wrong, he's doing something wrong. Basically, what most people do and what he was doing in the movie is going all the way forward and then pulling it back, all the way forward and pulling it back. Okay, when you do that, you're creating so much momentum. Half of the weight is not being lifted by your back. So what you should do is basically allow your arms to be pulled up to the point of your body creating a 90-degree angle, but no more beyond that. So by going beyond that, you're not involving your lats, you're involving your lower back and a lot of other muscles, even your leg muscles. So really, you should keep it here, let it pull you to the front and stop there. Anything beyond that is pointless and it's counterproductive. So the actual movement should be this. And the way I can prove what I'm saying I'm right, because I'm always right, is the fact that if I had, say you put a really heavy weight and you're doing it the Arnold way, okay? If your muscles is doing that work, then if I ask you to do it my way, you can't do it. You can't lift that amount of weight because you won't be able to generate the momentum to be able to pull it back. If your muscles was doing the actual movement, the actual lifting, then you should be able to do it even if you didn't lean forward, but you won't be able to do it.
Vasculator, a muscle pump activator that improves blood flow to muscles for greater contractions, thus increasing strength and muscle mass. Available exclusively from lamuscle.com.
For the decline bench, okay? I'll watch people in all my gyms all day long doing decline bench, and probably I see 1 in 100 doing it correctly. And I'm going to explain to you why they're doing it wrong and what's the motivation towards doing it wrong. I'm going to do it now. I'm going to do the wrong way. The weight is quite light, it's only 10 kilos on each side, it's not that heavy, but it doesn't matter. I still should have felt something. I swear to God, I did not feel nothing on my pecs, okay? My pecs are a little bit sore from my previous workout. I should have felt something, I didn't feel anything. Okay, now I'm gonna do it the way it should be done, and I'll explain why. Okay, from about 6th rep, I started feeling my pecs. Okay, that's a warm-up weight. And by the 10th rep, I could feel my actual pecs burning because they were getting stimulated. That's as simple as that. The reason why people are doing it wrong and they're doing it the other way is for 2 reasons. One is easier because the distance between the bar and your torso is less, which means you can use more weight. And the other reason is because, you know, the weight alone is not the importance, it's the feel. You know, I'm not saying, you know, do a light weight, do a weight that your muscles is using. You're not you just lifting for the sake of lifting, but the muscles that you're trying to train. And you don't have to know how the muscle fibers on your pectoral muscles are. We realize that the pectoral muscles, the way they all go into the middle, here from the bottom up, which means you have to be at this angle, which means the bar should be at least in the middle of your pecs. And the same thing applies when you're doing bench press. Exactly the same. When you're doing bench press and you bring the bar lower, your elbows are in more, which means the bar is here, you can lift more weight. So the basic difference is that the bar has to be in the middle of your pecs and your elbows have to be in the same line as your shoulders. That's simple. You know, that goes for the flat, incline, decline, and that way you create a much more stimulation for the pectorals, because you're still using your front delt a little bit, you're still using your triceps, but only a little bit, not primarily. When you're doing it the other way, you're using more shoulder and more tricep to lift the weight and less pecs. Another exercise which we shouldn't just do it, it should actually be made illegal. And you could say I shouldn't have this bench in my gym because I don't believe in doing this, but unfortunately, you know, I'm a businessman, I need to have what people want, so I can't force people not to do certain things. All I can do is advise them. So press behind neck is one of the worst exercises for two reasons. One, because it's so easy to be performed wrongly, and secondly, it's the worst way to train your shoulders because of the way our shoulder socket sits and the way our shoulder is made. So it's it makes it very vulnerable for injury and damage to the shoulder area. And the fact is that it's so easy to understand the movement. You know, I can only come up to this point and I can only go up to that point. So that's the movement. So why am I stopping here? Or why am I stopping there? I've seen people doing press behind neck with the bar over their heads. It doesn't take a genius to tell you that is not right. Okay, somebody's gonna ask me what exercise should I be doing? Because the problem we have is your head is in the way. So even if you're doing it to the front, if you're doing it to the back, your head is in the way. So the best way to do it is using dumbbells. The problem again with dumbbells, the same thing applies, that people are not doing the movement fully. So if you're gonna do dumbbells, at least do the movement fully. Stop kidding yourself. Stop pretending you're stronger than you are. And I've done that as well, so I've been guilty in the past, so I've been there. But I found the right way. I'm following the right path now. The only problem is I'm too old now. This exercise that I'm gonna do now is probably the most popular exercise for biceps. And you're gonna see people doing it in all the gyms and films, champions, and it's the simplest way to understand how wrong it is and how wrong we do things. And it's the alternate dumbbell curls. First of all, why is it done alternatively? Secondly, why is it done the way it's done? It's beyond me, because by doing it alternatively, you can create more momentum. So it helps if you want to show off again heavy dumbbells, because you can swing the dumbbell easier because of the way the movement is. But when you're doing that, inevitably, even if the weight is light, and I'm going to demonstrate, all you have to do is look at the way my body twists, even when the weight is light. That's partly the wrong thing, one of the wrong things that you do when this exercise. What you should be doing, you use the dumbbells, but you do them together. So that way, it eliminates a lot of momentum, and also it keeps the bicep in a constant position on the positive and negative part of the movement, which means it's going to create more stimulation. Secondly, when the arm is in this position, the bicep is not being used. So when I start moving the weight, till I get to this position here, which is half of the movement, I'm not using my biceps to lift the weight. I'm using my brachialis and my forearm to lift the weight, which means I'm losing half the movement. That's why you should keep it straight, because that's the way the bicep will get stimulated. When it moves to this position, it all goes on brachialis and forearm muscles to lift the weight. So basically, you're doing half an exercise. So basically, every time I see somebody doing that, I do tell them, I do try to explain to them. The problem is that they'll do it while I'm there, or they'll do it for a couple of workouts, but because they're dropping their weight that they're using by 30–40%, they don't feel comfortable with that, so they go back to their old way, lifting the heavier weight, lifting it wrong, and carrying on. And that's the biggest problem that I'm having personally. When I've explained something to somebody, they understood, they felt their biceps more, and they still go back to their old way. Alternate dumbbell raises, front raises. So again, from the minute I go like this, my left side goes back. The same. From the minute I do them together, already from the first rep, I'm feeling my front delts a lot more because I'm not swinging it up and I'm not twisting my torso and my body. And that creates straight away the front delts to come into play. Again, I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna go like this, look. Already the weight feels half and I don't feel my front delts. So I can do this all day. As soon as you switch to the other way, it becomes harder. And I know I can only do maybe 10–12 reps like that. If my front delt was doing the work when I was doing it like this, how comes when I go like this, I can't even lift it anymore. It doesn't take a genius. Another exercise that is done wrongly a lot is the tricep pushdown. The problem people don't understand is that you're pushing the weight down, but you should be pushing it with your triceps, not with your shoulders or your torso or your body. So I'll do it the wrong way first and then I'll do the correct way, okay? Doing it that way, I do feel my triceps a tiny bit, but the majority of the pushing wasn't done with my triceps, it was done with my shoulders. And I remember looking at a photograph of, it's going back in time, is a British bodybuilder that competed in Mr. Olympia a few years ago, but his name was Pectoral. And he was short, maybe a little bit shorter than me, 5'6", 5'7". And he had incredible triceps and he had incredible delts. And this is the way he used to do his triceps. And you think to yourself, okay, well, maybe that's the way I should be doing it as well, and with heavy weight. The problem that you get from that, you get severe tendonitis because you're using your tendons and your elbows a lot more than the actual muscle. And unless you're equipped with extremely dense tendons and ligaments, you're gonna have a problem. Using 1/4 of the energy, you can do it the correct way, which is, if you can see, I'm not even pushing it straight down, I'm pushing it slightly forward. So already I'm feeling my tricep muscles working. Okay, again, you have to control the movement. It's not good going, which most people do. Again, you control it. Again, it's an exercise that is brilliant, but can be done so wrongly. See already, I'm feeling my triceps burning and it's hardly any weight on there. But about 80% of the movement is done by my tricep muscles, not everything else. Not my tendons, not my ligaments, not my front delts. Again, it's so simple. Another exercise for triceps, which is probably the most common used productive exercises, which should be productive but is not, is lying down extensions with an easy bar. Doing it with the easy bar is much better in a way because of the way the wrist is. So, I mean, you can do it with a straight bar, but an easy bar is more comfortable for the wrist. The problem you have with this exercise is that you can use a lot of weight, but it's one of the most dangerous exercises for people to get injured and get problems with their tendons. So otherwise known as tennis elbows, because the inflammation that you get on your tendons is so severe because you'll end up using the tendons more than the muscles, because it's so easy to do it wrong, and I'll explain. I'm going to do it the wrong way first, and then we'll do it the correct way. Well, the weight is not that heavy on this part, but basically it's easy to control the weight down when the weight is heavy. The problem you have is, if the weight is too heavy, when you try and lift it up, the only way you're going to lift it is by jerking it up. And the jerking motion creates the tendon to be involved more than the muscle. But I'm training my triceps muscles, I'm not training my tendons. So the movement should be, you should use a weight that you can control down, but you take up in a controlled manner. You're not jerking it up. But what happens when you do that, you have to use less weight. Is understanding the damages you're going to do to yourself. And every day I will get people coming up to me asking me, oh, I've got problems on my elbow, I can't do side laterals because my tendons seems to be sore, I can't train. You know, especially if they're young, that shouldn't be happening. They should never have problems with their joints. Nobody should have problems with their joints if things are done correctly. And that's, you'll end up having to have time off because you can't train properly. So in the long run, it becomes counterproductive.